Life, my friend, is a series of moments, some light as feathers, others heavy as mountains. In those moments when the weight feels unbearable, when the road ahead seems too steep to climb, you must remember this: you are not alone. There is a power, an energy, a presence greater than all of us, weaving through the fabric of existence. It doesn't shout or demand. It whispers quietly, softly, into the depths of your heart. I am here. When the storm rages and the darkness closes in, that presence steadies you. It lights a candle in the shadows, reminding you that even the smallest flame can push back the night. When your knees buckle under the strain of what feels impossible, it reaches out, not to carry the load for you, but to give you strength to carry it yourself. This presence doesn't promise a life free from struggle. No, it offers something far greater: the assurance that no matter what you face, there is a purpose in your trials. There is growth in your pain. There is meaning in the journey. When doubt creeps in, when you question your worth or the path ahead, take a moment to listen, not with your ears, but with your soul. You'll hear it. The voice of hope, the voice of faith, the voice that tells you you are loved. You are seen. You are never forgotten. So stand tall. Walk forward even if your steps are small and slow. There is a force that holds the stars in the sky, that sets the oceans in motion, and it holds you too. Trust it. Lean into it. Let it remind you that no matter what, you are enough. And when the time comes, when you've climbed the mountain and reached the summit, you'll look back and realize something beautiful. You'll see that every step, every tear, every moment of doubt led you here, to a place where faith carried you farther than fear ever could. Keep going. You are never alone. There are moments in life when the silence feels deafening, when the weight of the world presses so heavily on your chest that you wonder if anyone hears your cries. You question if anyone sees the battles you fight in the quiet corners of your heart. But let me tell you something profound: you are not alone. That's not just a sentiment meant to comfort you. It's a truth, as real as the air you breathe. Look around at the trees that sway gently in the wind, at the rivers carving their paths through rock, at the stars that hang faithfully in the night sky. Each of these speaks of a presence, a force that moves with purpose and care. That same presence watches over you. You see, there's something extraordinary about knowing this. It doesn't mean life will be free from pain or struggle. No, those are part of the human experience. But it does mean that in your darkest hours, in the moments when your strength falters and your spirit wavers, there is something, call it what you will, that stands with you. It holds you steady when the ground beneath your feet shakes. You may not always feel it. You may not always see it. But it's there, like a quiet friend sitting beside you in the stillness, ready to carry the part of your burden that feels too heavy to bear alone. It doesn't shout or demand your attention. It simply waits, reminding you in subtle ways that you are cherished, that your journey matters. And so, the next time the weight of the world bears down on you, remember this: you are never walking this path alone. Whether in the company of others or in the solitude of your own thoughts, there is a presence that walks beside you. Trust it. Draw strength from it. Let it remind you of the truth that will always remain: you are never, ever alone. There is a power in this world that moves beyond what the eyes can see. It doesn't announce itself with fanfare or bright lights. It doesn't demand to be noticed. But it's there, constant, unshaken, and unwavering. A presence so profound it weaves through the fabric of existence, holding everything together. This presence is in the rhythm of the waves that kiss the shore, in the gentle rise of the sun each morning, and in the stillness of a quiet night. It's the same force that nudges a flower to bloom in the harshest of soils and whispers to the stars to stay suspended in the vast expanse of the heavens. It is neither loud nor intrusive. It doesn't need to be. Its quiet strength is what makes it undeniable. This power isn't just in the grandeur of nature or the vastness of the universe. It's also within you. It resides in the silent spaces of your soul, in the moments when you feel most lost, and even when you believe you are completely alone. It's a source of strength that exists not to erase the struggles, but to give you the courage to face them head on. And in those moments of despair, when the road ahead seems impassable, it doesn't push or pull you. It steadies you. It reminds you in ways you may not even realize at the time that you are capable of far more than you think. It's the invisible hand that lifts your head when it hangs low, and the quiet whisper that says, "Keep going." This presence asks for nothing in return. It simply exists, waiting for you to lean into it, to draw from it when your own reserves run dry. It doesn't force belief, it invites it. And when you trust in it, even just a little, you find yourself tapping into something far greater than your own strength. You don't have to name it. You don't have to fully understand it. Just know that it's there, as sure as the ground beneath your feet and the sky above your head. It's the quiet assurance that through every storm, through every trial, something far greater walks with you, lifting you when you cannot lift yourself. Life has a way of testing us, of placing obstacles in our path that seem insurmountable. There are days when the weight feels like too much to bear, when you wonder why the struggle exists at all. But let me tell you something profound: those challenges are not there to break you. They are there to build you. Strength doesn't come from ease or comfort. It comes from resistance, from the moments when everything within you wants to stop. Yet you keep going. There is a quiet power in struggle, a refining fire that shapes you into someone you never thought you could be. It's not the absence of hardship that makes you strong. It's your ability to endure, to push through the storm, that truly reveals your resilience. This unseen presence doesn't promise to take the difficulties away. No, its purpose is far greater. It walks beside you, whispering encouragement, lending you strength, not by removing the weight, but by helping you bear it. Because it knows something you may not realize in the moment, that every trial you face is forging a stronger, wiser, more compassionate version of yourself. Think of a river cutting through rock. It doesn't happen in a single day. It takes time, persistence, and countless moments of effort. But over time, the river carves something beautiful: a canyon, a valley, a masterpiece. And just like that river, your struggles carve out a version of you that is deeper, richer, and more profound than you could imagine. It's hard to see this when you're in the middle of it. Pain blinds you to the progress being made. But trust in this: there is purpose in the struggle. There is meaning in the pain. And one day, when you look back on the road you've traveled, you'll see how each challenge, each moment of doubt was shaping you for something greater. So don't fear the weight of your burdens. Don't run from the struggles. Embrace them, knowing that you are being prepared for a strength far beyond what you could have ever imagined. You are growing. You are transforming. And even when you feel weak, you are stronger than you think. There comes a time in every journey when the night feels endless and the path ahead is shrouded in uncertainty. In those moments, it's easy to wonder if the light will ever return. But even in the darkest of nights, there is a flicker of hope, a small, steady flame that refuses to be extinguished. Hope doesn't need to be grand or overwhelming. It doesn't shout or demand attention. It exists quietly, like a single candle in a vast, dark room. And yet that single flame is enough. Enough to illuminate your next step. Enough to remind you that the darkness is not infinite. This light of hope comes from within and from beyond. It whispers that no matter how heavy the burden, how long the journey, there is a reason to keep going. It tells you that the challenges you face are not the end, but a part of the story still being written. Hope doesn't ignore the pain or pretend the struggle isn't real. It acknowledges the weight you carry, the tears you've shed, and the doubts that linger. But it also reminds you that storms pass, that wounds heal, and that even the longest nights give way to dawn. In those moments when it feels like the light has disappeared entirely, hope has a way of finding you. It may come in the form of a kind word, a gentle reminder from someone who believes in you, or a quiet moment when you feel the presence of something greater. It may even be as simple as the thought that tomorrow is another chance to try again. Hope is resilient, unyielding, and patient. It doesn't abandon you, even when you feel you've abandoned it. And as long as that spark exists, even if it's faint, even if it's fragile, it has the power to reignite a fire within you that can light up the darkest of times. So hold on to that hope. No matter how small it feels, protect it, nurture it, and let it guide you forward. For it is in that tiny, unwavering light that you will find the strength to keep moving, to rise again, and to discover that the night you feared was endless was always leading you toward a brighter dawn. When darkness surrounds you, it can feel all-consuming, like a heavy fog that blinds you to everything good and true. In moments like these, it's tempting to believe the darkness is stronger, that it will last forever. But let me share a truth: even the smallest light can conquer the deepest shadows. A single spark, no matter how faint, holds the power to push back against the night. It may not illuminate the entire path at once, but it shows enough to take the next step. And with each step forward, the light grows brighter, casting out fear and doubt. This light isn't always something external. Sometimes it's a quiet strength within you, a determination you didn't realize you had. Other times it's the kindness of a stranger, the embrace of a loved one, or the simple beauty of the world around you: a sunrise, a bird's song, or the gentle rustle of leaves in the wind. What makes this light so powerful is its persistence. Darkness can seem vast, but it is only an absence of light. It cannot extinguish the flame unless you let it. That small light, fragile as it may feel, carries within it the promise of something greater, the assurance that darkness is never permanent, that it always yields to light. When you find yourself overwhelmed by the shadows, don't focus on the vastness of the dark. Instead, seek out that single point of light. It might be a memory of a time when you felt strong, a quiet prayer, or the courage to ask for help. Whatever it is, hold on to it. Nurture it. Let it remind you that light, no matter how small, always has the power to grow. The beauty of light is that it doesn't just push back the dark for you, it can inspire others. When they see your flame, they are reminded of their own. And before long, what began as a solitary spark becomes a fire that lights up the world. So never underestimate the power of even the faintest glimmer. It's proof that hope is alive, that life continues, and that no matter how dark the moment feels, the light within you is enough to lead the way. In the quiet moments of life, when the world grows still and you're left alone with your thoughts, doubt can creep in. It whispers questions you're afraid to answer. Am I enough? Do I matter? Will my struggles ever lead to something greater? It's easy to believe the voice of doubt, to let it drown out everything else. But let me tell you a deeper truth: you are seen, you are loved, and you are worthy just as you are. You may not always feel it. Life has a way of covering up the truth with layers of pain, failure, and disappointment. But beneath all of that lies something unshakable, a value that isn't earned by your accomplishments or diminished by your mistakes. It's simply there, as constant and enduring as the ground beneath your feet. Think about the way the ocean meets the shore. It doesn't ask the sand to be anything other than what it is. The waves come and go, washing over the shore again and again, no matter how the landscape changes. That's the kind of love that surrounds you, unconditional, unchanging, and always present, whether you notice it or not. When you're consumed by self-doubt, it's hard to believe in your own worth. But that's when you must lean into the quiet assurance of something greater than your feelings. Just because you don't see your value in the moment doesn't mean it's not there. Sometimes it takes stepping back, looking at the bigger picture, to realize that you are a part of something far more meaningful than you can comprehend. You don't need to prove yourself to be worthy of love and belonging. That worth is already within you, woven into the very fabric of your being. And no matter what storms you face, no matter how many times you stumble, that truth remains. So the next time you feel invisible, when doubt tells you that you don't matter, remember this: you are seen. Even when you feel unseen. You are loved, even when you feel unlovable. And you are enough just as you are, even when you can't yet see it for yourself. Hold on to that truth that's stronger than any doubt you will ever face. There is a language that isn't spoken with words, a kind of listening that goes beyond the ears. It's the quiet understanding that happens when you stop and let the noise of the world fall away. In those moments, something profound happens. You begin to hear the whispers of your soul. This isn't the kind of listening you can rush. It doesn't happen while you're caught up in the chaos of daily life. No, it requires stillness, a moment to pause and breathe. In that stillness, a gentle voice rises, not from the outside, but from deep within. It's the voice that reminds you of truths you may have forgotten, the one that tells you you're stronger than you know. You're not alone. This voice isn't loud or forceful. It's soft, patient, and unyielding. It waits for you to notice it, to quiet your doubts and fears long enough to hear what it has to say. And when you do, it speaks with clarity, cutting through the noise to reveal the things that truly matter. There's a wisdom in this kind of listening, a connection to something greater than yourself. It's as if the very essence of life speaks through the stillness, reminding you of your place in the grander story. This voice doesn't offer easy answers or quick fixes. Instead, it offers guidance, hope, and the courage to keep moving forward. Sometimes what you hear may not be what you expect. It might challenge you, push you to face fears or truths you've been avoiding. But even then, it does so with a sense of purpose, leading you toward growth and understanding. When you feel lost, when the world feels too loud, take a moment to stop and listen, not with your ears, but with your heart and soul. You'll find that the answers you seek, the strength you need, have been within you all along. This kind of listening connects you to something timeless, something unshaken by the trials of life. And in that connection, you'll find the peace and clarity you need to take your next step. Trust in it. Trust in the voice that has always been there, waiting for you to hear it. There is a force in this world that binds everything together, a presence so vast and intricate it weaves through the stars and the heavens and the soil beneath your feet. It's the same force that keeps the planets in their orbits and teaches the seasons to come and go without fail. But here's the truth that changes everything: that same force holds you too. You may not always feel it. In moments of chaos or despair, it's easy to believe you've been left to face the world on your own. But if you look closely, if you pause and truly see, you'll recognize the quiet evidence of this presence. It's in the steady beat of your heart, the breath that fills your lungs, the way your feet find solid ground even when the path ahead is uncertain. This presence isn't distant or indifferent. It's as close as the air you breathe, as steady as the rising sun. It doesn't shout or demand your attention. Instead, it waits patiently, a constant source of strength ready for you to lean on when you're weary. When the storms of life come, and they will, it's easy to feel untethered, as if the winds could sweep you away. But remember this: there is something greater than the storm, something stronger than the chaos. It's the same force that keeps the trees standing tall even as the winds howl and the rain falls. And like those trees, you are rooted in something far greater than yourself. Trusting this presence isn't about having all the answers or knowing exactly where the road will lead. It's about stepping forward with the assurance that you are held, that no matter how unsteady your steps feel, there is a strength beneath you that will not fail. In your moments of doubt, When fear tells you to stop, let this presence remind you that you are part of something far larger than any obstacle you face. Lean into it. Draw from it. Let it steady you, guide you, and carry you through. And as you move forward, you'll find that this trust becomes your foundation, a quiet confidence that no matter what life throws your way, you are never truly alone, because the same force that holds the universe holds you too. Life is full of steps, some small and some large, but they all carry meaning. We often think of progress in grand terms when we reach the summit or cross the finish line. But in truth, progress is found in every step, even the ones that feel like they're barely moving at all. You see, we live in a world that celebrates the big moments, the achievements, the milestones, the victories. But it's the quiet, sometimes imperceptible steps that truly define who we are and what we become. Each moment, even when it feels insignificant, is part of a larger story unfolding. Think about a child learning to walk. Every wobble, every fall, is a part of the journey toward mastery. The child doesn't stop and say, "I'll never walk." No. Each attempt is a victory, no matter how small. It's in the struggle, the persistence, that the true growth happens. You might not see it in the moment, but every time you get back up after a setback, you're making progress. Every time you choose to take another step despite fear or doubt, you're moving forward. And one day when you look back, you'll see that all those small, seemingly insignificant steps have added up to something far greater than you ever realized. The road ahead might not always be clear. At times it may feel like you're walking in darkness, unable to see what's next. But trust that every step is still moving you towards something. Even in the uncertainty, you are progressing. Even in the struggle, you are growing. It's easy to get discouraged when the path is hard and the destination seems distant. But remember, the journey itself is shaping you in ways you can't always see. Every challenge you face is molding you into someone who can handle what's ahead, even if you don't feel ready right now. The secret then is to keep moving. It doesn't matter how small the step. It doesn't matter if you stumble. What matters is that you continue, that you trust in the process and in the truth that each step, no matter how imperceptible, is taking you closer to your destination. So take those steps, no matter how uncertain they may seem. Let the pace be what it is, for progress isn't always measured in leaps and bounds, but in the quiet persistence of your feet finding their way. And in the end, when you stand at the place you once thought unreachable, you'll realize that it was never about the distance. It was always about the steps you took to get there. There are moments in life when fear seems to grow larger than anything else. It creeps into your mind and makes the simplest tasks seem impossible. The path ahead appears daunting, and you wonder if you have the strength to face what's to come. But here's a truth: within you lies a power greater than any fear you will ever face. Fear is an ancient force. It has a way of gripping your heart and clouding your judgment. But it is not a permanent state. It doesn't define who you are. It's simply a feeling, an emotion that passes, just as clouds drift across the sky. And just as the sky remains unchanged by the clouds, so too does your core strength remain untarnished by fear. In those moments when fear threatens to overwhelm you, remember that it is not the absence of fear that makes someone strong, but their ability to stand in its presence and move forward anyway. Strength is not a lack of fear, but the courage to face it head on, to acknowledge its presence and still choose to walk the path ahead. Fear can be paralyzing, yes, but it also holds the key to growth. It is in the very thing that terrifies you that you will find your true strength. Think about a mountain. It seems insurmountable from the bottom, but with each step you come closer to the peak. The mountain is not conquered by running away from it, but by climbing it, one step at a time. You may not have all the answers, and that's okay. It's not about knowing exactly how things will unfold. It's about trusting in yourself, trusting in the fact that you are capable of more than you realize. In the face of fear, the most powerful thing you can do is move forward with the belief that you will find your way. And when you make that choice, when you take that first step despite the fear, something incredible happens. The fear begins to shrink. The obstacles that once seemed insurmountable lose their power over you. The more you face your fears, the more you realize that they only have as much power as you give them. Don't expect the fear to disappear completely. It will always be there, waiting for its next opportunity to rise up. But the key is not to let it control you. Fear will always be a part of the journey, but it doesn't have to determine your destination. And in those quiet moments when fear tries to make you doubt yourself, remember this: you've faced fear before. You've overcome obstacles that once seemed impossible. You've stood in the face of adversity and emerged stronger for it. The same strength that carried you then is within you now. So stand tall, even when fear whispers in your ear. Stand tall, knowing that with every step you take forward, with every moment you choose to move in spite of it, fear becomes smaller and smaller, and you, with your courage, become ever greater.